At 4:42, Captain Marty lined up the Concorde on the runway. They hadn't used over half the taxiing fuel. This now made the aircraft an additional ton overweight.
Air France 45-90, piste 26 droite.
Vent 0,90, 8 nœuds. Décollage autorisé.
Est-ce que tout le monde est prêt?
Oui.
Oui. Air 100, B1, 150, top.
Marty accelerated to V1, the speed at which he was committed to take off.
V1. Attention.
Encore 45-90, vous avez des flammes derrière vous.
Ouais, donc moteur 2. Maintien.
45-90, vous avez de fortes flammes derrière vous.
Encore un quart d'heure là.
J'ai coupé. Non, le train ne rentre pas.
Pompier leader, le Concorde, je ne connais pas ses intentions.
Pompier à le pompier. Trop tard.
Il faut enlisser le pompier. Non?
The terrifying last moments were videoed from inside the cab of a passing truck.
De Gaulle, tour de pompier leader. Vous pouvez me donner la situation du Concorde là?
The flight of Air France 4590 lasted less than 90 seconds. The Concorde had crashed 3 miles from the airport into a small hotel close to the town of Gonesse. All 100 passengers and 9 crew on board, and 4 people on the ground were killed. Patrick Tess, owner of the hotel next door, was just yards away from the point of impact.
So I was in my office, on the telephone with my back to the window. Then my conversation was drowned out by an extraordinary noise. I turned around, and there I saw, facing me, Concorde in flames and at a high angle, approaching the hotel at breakneck speed. And its course made me think it would hit this side. And then I thought I had just a few seconds to live.
Madame Christine Turpin was on her way back from the shops.
And I saw a plane with fire behind it, and I was just stupefied. I saw it was Concorde. I was so surprised to see the plane like that, which went like this, and then it fell like that. I thought he had fallen on my house. I was so surprised. I stopped. I called the fire department. There was no answer. I called my home. No answer. So I left the car and went to the accident site.
One of our clients wrapped himself in a towel soaked in the bath to get closer to the fire. But he came out a few seconds later telling us it's not worth it, don't go there. There's nothing left, just bodies. And actually, we saw that there were bodies, pieces of people.
And there you are. It's sad.
The aircraft, loaded with fuel, burned for 3 hours. The emergency services placed road cones to mark the human remains. News flashed around the world.
And I thought, why, how, what's gone wrong? My heart dropped because in all the years that I'd been perhaps responsible for British Airways Concorde, as many others were as well, I dreaded a major accident.
I, like most people involved with the aircraft closely, was in a state of shock for several days. And as the facts slowly began to emerge, it just made me feel sick. Sick in the stomach, it really did.
Debris from the crash was taken to the hangars at Le Bourget. the airport where Captain Marty had hoped to land. Immediately, the French investigation unit, the BEA, started to look into possible causes. Work colleagues of the dead crew, who knew their voices, came in to help decipher the recordings. The BEA was assisted by foreign investigators, including American Robert McIntosh from the National Transportation Safety Board.
We began to get a picture of the sequence of events. Certainly, we knew that there was a normal takeoff. We could hear this on the cockpit voice recorder. The aircraft accelerated up through 100 knots. It accelerated up through 150 knots. At a point of about 175 knots, there were things that were detected by the crew. There were noises. Something was going wrong. And then the heading of the aircraft, which would normally be straight down the runway, began to deviate off to the left.
The investigation switched to the runway. Tire marks clearly showed the path the aircraft had taken, veering left to miss Chirac's 747 by just 30 feet. Chunks of rubber were evidence that one of the Concorde's tires had burst.
This would be like something you might see on a highway that had come from a large truck.
And close by, the possible cause, a 43-centimeter strip of bent metal.
There was a piece of evidence, a metal strip that appeared to be of the same form as the cut on the tire.
Investigators believed the Concorde had gone over the metal strip, which cut and burst the tire, sending a large chunk of rubber into the wing above.
And it literally broke the bottom of the tank, not by penetrating, but by forcing another part of the bottom of the tank to break loose.
What caused the fuel to ignite is still not clear. Possibly a spark from a broken electrical cable.
We noticed the aircraft took off early. At that time, there was this huge flame that had developed on the left side, and that's the famous picture that everybody saw.
Flames and debris were sucked into the air intakes, causing both engines to lose power.
On this particular takeoff, it never remotely got near its safety speed, and it never got above about 200 feet.
For the investigation, the question remained, where had the mysterious metal strip come from? Closer inspection revealed it was from the engine of a Continental Airlines DC-10, which had used the same runway just 5 minutes earlier. The French investigators were satisfied that they had solved the cause of the crash. But a number of Concorde pilots and engineers were not.
They're trying to suggest that that single strip of metal was the only reason that Concorde came down. I find totally unbelievable and implausible. Aircraft accidents are seldom down to one thing only. It's a combination of factors. And there were a lot of other factors at play in that day.
One of the central allegations involves a unique feature of Concorde. Fuel can be pumped from a rear tank forward to balance the aircraft for flight. As the Concorde was overweight, the flight engineer would have moved fuel forwards to compensate. At the crash site, switches were found left on, suggesting this could be the case. It may have